Hey everybody, let's try to answer some more of your questions about voting. Retrospective versus prospective voting. Retrospective voting, the idea that we are going to look back the way things have been going and look back at them and try to determine who we're going to vote for based on what happened before. Prospective voting, we're looking forward. All right, we're prospecting like the 49ers almost, and we're looking for what we think might happen in the future, the prospective voter. So the prospective voter is the voter who looks at what they think the candidate is going to do, what they prospectively can consider as something that they want to happen. So you're going to hear about hope and change, and you're going to hear about what's going to happen in the future if you're a prospective voter. Now, most elections are about the future. Most elections are aspirational. Most voters are aspirational. They are looking forward to what we can achieve, what we can do better as a country, and what a new leader can help us to do better in that process. And so most elections are full of prospective voters. They're looking to change things for the better. They're looking for a new way of doing things. They're trying to look for someone who will improve the economy, that will give them a better opportunity for a job, that will be giving them better opportunities for their kids through education. So all of the things going forward into the future. It's a tough deal to have to run for re-election. It's a tough deal to look back at the past and try to get elected based on the past. That would be retrospective voting. Now, of course, the classic example of that is Ronald Reagan. You could say even that Abraham Lincoln was, in his second election, working off of a retrospective model, right? So he's saying you don't change horses in midstream. So halfway through these 2 terms that I'm going to serve in office, of course, there was no amendment at that time, and FDR hadn't been elected yet, but we don't want to change in the middle of this civil war. We don't want to change the leader and the president, so stick with me. Similarly, we have Ronald Reagan saying those famous words, ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? So when he beat Jimmy Carter in 76, it's 4 years later, it's he beat him in 80. Jimmy Carter was elected in 76. In 84, Reagan said, ask yourself when you're voting this time, retrospectively, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? That's retrospective voting. The idea of we're looking back and we're going to tell the future by what's happened in the past. And looking at some more of these questions here, when voting retrospectively, do people vote for the current party in power? Yeah, that's generally what happens. If they're looking at the way things have gone and they like it, and the other candidate doesn't offer change and hope and something new for the future that'll be better, they tend to stick with the party that's in power. What made voters want to re-elect presidents such as Obama and Bush for office? Again, Bush, it was don't change horses midstream, right? We were attacked on September 11, 2001, and President Bush was elected again for a second term. And so we were fighting terrorism, and we were fighting in Afghanistan to kick out the Taliban-led government. With Obama, in the 2012 election, there was nothing that Mitt Romney was going to offer that was going to be better. There was not going to be any new changes, and things weren't going too poorly, right? We had come out of an economic, the Great Recession, some people called it, because it was so economically bad, and we were going in the right direction. And so you kind of stick with that person if there's nobody who can, prove that they can do a heck of a lot better. Based on the different types of voting behavior, is it based on polls? No, not necessarily. It's based on whether the people think individually that somebody's doing better, although you could say that some of the people look at those polls and are part of those polls. And so it shows up not only in the voting, but also in the scientific polls that are out there.